In this lesson, we're going to begin discussing layers. If you'd like to follow along, go under the File menu to Open, and in the Working Files, go into Chapter 3 and select Layers of Efficiency, Part 1, and just click Open. Why don't we start by just drawing an object? I'm going to hit my M key to get to my rectangle tool very quickly, and go over the top of the rest of my objects and just click and drag to overlap quite a few of the objects. And you can see the last object that you draw is always in front. It's on top of all the rest of the objects. If I wanted to change this stacking order of objects, I could go under my Object menu to Arrange, and you can see I have a choice of Send Backward, which will go one level down in this stacking order. Why don't I do that? And you can see the last object that was drawn before this new object is now in front. I could also go to Object, Arrange, Send to Back. That's going to put the object behind everything, including this red object that covers the entire background. So I can't even see my white object anymore. But why don't I bring it back to the front? Object, Arrange, Bring Forward will bring it one level up. So now the red background is behind my white object. I could also go to Object, Arrange, Bring to Front. So now it's back in front of everything. Well, what is the Layers panel? If you're using the typography workspace, it's the second panel down from the top of docked panels. If you're not, make sure to choose typography, and if it still looks different, choose Reset Typography, which will make it go back to the preset typography workspace. I'm going to click on the Layers panel to open it up, and you can see by default, there's a Layer 1. When you set up a brand new document, there's always at least one layer, and it will by default be called Layer 1. You can see that that layer is also active. It says indicates current drawing layer. So you're drawing to that particular layer. And there's an object selected in that layer. There's something called a selection square, and it's highlighted. So there's at least one object selected in that layer. Now, what are layers? It's a way of organizing your objects on a page or spread into smaller, easier to handle units. Think of a layer as kind of like a cardboard box with objects stacked up inside of it. When that box is full, you can put another box or layer on top of it and add objects stacked up in that box or layer. So it breaks up your stacking order into smaller, easier to handle units. In recent versions of InDesign, you can actually see each and every object on a page or a spread in your Layers panel. All you have to do is click on the little disclosure arrow to the left of the layer name. And you can see I have a bunch of rectangles here. It's naming these objects automatically as you draw them. Because these are rectangles, it says rectangle. Well, that can get a little confusing, but the nice thing is, if I click and then click again on any one of these names, it will highlight and I can change it to something else. Let's see which object this actually is. If I click on the selection square, I can select that object. So I can see it's the yellow rectangle. Well, I have two of them. But you can rename your objects so you know what each and every one is. Certain objects get named automatically in a way that it's easy to understand which object is which. Like, for instance, type in front in that text frame. It names the text frame with the first 2 or 3 words in that text frame. If I brought in an image, it would name the graphic frame with the name of the image. So it's very well thought out. And it actually gives you a tremendous amount of control over your objects in a layout. Like, for instance, if this rectangle is in a position in the stacking order I don't like, I could click on it and drag it upwards to some other insert point. I'm dragging it right to the top, and now you can see it's on top of everything. Well, right now it says type in front. Let me select that and move it, and you can see it's not really in front at all. It's behind a lot of my rectangles. Well, it might be nice to have it in front. So I'm going to click on it and drag it upward all the way on top of everything. So very easy to control the stacking order to get everything exactly where you want it. And if I add new layers, I can control things even better. And we'll talk about that in the next lesson. Also in the Layers panel, I can turn on or off the visibility of objects. So you can see there's a little visibility eye. If I click on that background object, the red rectangle, it goes away. Let me turn it back on. I can also lock objects, like for instance, my text in front. If I click on this little empty lock box immediately to the right of the visibility eye in that layer, I'm actually locking that text frame. We're going to continue discussing layers in the next lesson.